Good evening, everyone. It has been quite some time since we have met. It has been a lot going on. This impeachment has been very draining, this whole process. I'm not going to lie to you. It's been a lot to keep up with, but I got you covered. Today we're going to discuss the impeachment process because I wanted to kind of spell that out, like how this whole process will go. I had to do a little bit of research on it. Also, too, what to expect. Wow, 72 people already. I want to start off by saying hello to everyone once again. I know it's been a while. Go Ravens, Lamar, Ravens, Baltimore City in the building. Go Ravens. But I want to go over the process in general. I did get a copy of Nancy's letter the Trump's letter to Nancy, which I thought was fucking hilarious. But I also want to temper expectations. Not that I'm a news authority, because I'm not, I don't believe in that. I'm just a regular person who reads the fucking paper, bitch. But I also want to discuss the French pension crisis, because I found it, a lot of times we, in regards to that, it was interesting watching world leaders laugh at Donald Trump and this is an ally, France is an ally of the United States, when even your house is not clean. Although the French do tend to have more balls than United States citizens, no shade. We ain't stopping the metro, bitch. Nobody's calling out from work from the electric company. Like, we not going that deep. And I honestly believe that's because we have a level of comfort in America. Like, a lot of shit, like, we just, we're a little comfortable, but we'll get into that. But I want to wait for everybody to file in. Darlene, my love, always here. Is that Lewis? Yeah. Curl, got some new faces in here. Keisha. Wow, Mississippi. Come through, Mississippi. What up, Cheryl? Tiffany here. You haven't been on in a while? Oh, you like the wall? Thank you. So much. But yeah. So, I want to kind of get started on the process. So, what I want to go over, just to bring everybody up to speed. Right now, what's happening, they're voting on the articles of impeachment right now, I believe, in the House. That whole process, which if you've been watching it, I was actually watching that before I came to tape with you guys. It's like watching a football game, and quite frankly, it makes me mad. The reason why it makes me mad is because I'm a Democrat, but I also believe in fair is fair. And what's frustrating is watching the Republican side. Yes, you can have the viewpoint that the Democrats don't have enough legal, like, in a court of law, Jessica Fletcher type of evidence that a true impeachable crime per se was committed. You can argue that point. I get it. This is your president, your party. You gotta defend it, I guess, whether they're ethical or not. But what I keep hearing that makes me mad is they keep talking about the Democrats wanting to overturn the last election and dismissing the votes of 63 million people, or however many million people voted for Donald Trump. And my thing is, you're so focused, that's the problem. You're so focused on governing for those people that you're not focused on the people that didn't vote for him. It's not like this man, he won in a landslide electoral college election, but he didn't win in a landslide popular vote election. So that tells you that the country is split and this president is divisive. And the fact that the Republicans refuse to acknowledge that, refuse to acknowledge that, okay, even if you don't feel like what he did, they can prove in a court of law or in a Senate trial that this is an impeachable crime, the fact that you're not recognizing, the problem is, I would respect it more. Here's the thing, guys. I would respect it more if you said, you know what? I know he ain't shit. He ain't the brightest bulb on the tree. He crooked as all outside. But for what you're saying for impeachment, you got to do a little bit better, sis. I would respect it then. Because you're acknowledging that this man is problematic. But you're also pleading your case that, hey, guys, you got to have a little bit more, you got to build your case. I would respect it more. Not saying that I agree with it. Okay? Not saying that I agree with what they're saying, but I would respect it more. The fact that they can't even acknowledge the ethics of this president, that is what is turning me off from this. Especially, and I gotta call a spade as a black person. I'm watching this, and I'm looking at a bunch of angry white men defend a crooked, angry white man who's clearly wrong, who clearly has issues, and who clearly has no respect for the law. And that is what bothers my soul. But I'm going to run down the process of impeachment as it's been going down. I'm going to bring you up to where we are now and where we go from here. So basically, on September 24th, they started the initiation. Nancy Pelosi announced the impeachment inquiry, the formal inquiry, and had directing a handful of House committees to continue investigations into Trump. So they do the initiation. Then they have the closed-door testimonies. The committee leaders for the House Intelligence, Oversight, Reform, and Foreign Affairs committees began issuing the subpoenas and taking depositions and conducting closed-door meetings. So basically, on the 24th, Nancy all right, bitch, we doing the impeachment. I'm opening the impeachment inquiry. So she sparked that shit off. She cracked the egg. Now, just a caveat here. Once again, I don't initially believe that Nancy wanted to impeach him because she knows it's more valuable and it's more important and it's better for the country if this man loses his presidency in an outright election. That's the best case scenario. That's what you want to happen. Because you never want to remove, and this is why, people were like, and I remember as I followed this whole process, people are like, well, Nancy, why don't you, y'all need to impeach him. We need to impeach this Rashida Tlaib. Let's impeach this motherfucker. You don't just want to remove somebody because even though, he won an electoral college, it was a divisive election, you still got millions of people who voted for this man. And what you don't want to do, I do agree to it. I never thought I'd say this, but you don't want to just disregard somebody's vote. Even though if you think that vote is asinine, you don't want to disregard it. So I get why it took her so long to get to this point. But after this whistleblower incident and the Ukraine incident, really he forced her hand. She really, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, guys, Nancy was backed into a corner where she had to do it. And at this point, once that whistleblower shit hit, like the Mueller report, all that shit, all right, they couldn't, Mueller played the 50 on that, we moving on. But when the whistleblower shit came out, like they really put it in the corner. Okay? So then, two more committees, the Ways and the Means and Financial Service, also do investigations into Trump. So on the 31st of October, the House voted on the impeachment rules. The House voted to approve the resolution that laid out the rules for impeachment. So basically how this is going to work as far as articles, all of that, they voted on that. That was on the 31st, right? So then after that, after they vote, you have the Intelligence Committee public hearings. So all this time, they have these hearings. And this is the Intelligence Committee. So after they do the closed door shit, Adam Schiff and the Democrats who leads the committee, and Representative Devin Nunes, which we already know he ain't really that credible. He crooked too. The panel's top Republican, they each had 45 minutes to question witnesses. Members of the panel got 5 minutes each to ask questions. So this is the Intelligence Committee. They have their hearings, okay? And these are open hearings in regards to this. Then after they had their hearings, that was the week of the 13th through the 21st of November. And I'm doing a timeline here. Some of this is from the New York Times and other sources, as far as The Guardian and Vox, just the type sources, because I researched. December 3rd, you had the Intelligence Committee report. So after the initial Intelligence Committee, because they got like 800,000 fucking committees in the House, after they do their hearings, then the Intelligence Committee issues the report, okay? They approve sending a report with its findings to the Judiciary Committee. The report was also made to the made available to the public. So the Intelligence Committee, they then say, all right, bitch, we had our hearings, and if you with me, just tap a heart or a yes or a smiley face if you following this. After the Intelligence Committee do their findings, they do their hearings, then they send their shit to the Judiciary Committee. Now, once the Judiciary Committee, they got the report, this is the week of December the 4th through December the 9th. They have their hearings. After receiving the report, the Judiciary Committee, they hold their own hearings. So this is separate hearings from the Intelligence Committee. They have their own, okay? The first hearing invited the legal scholars to discuss whether Mr. Trump's conduct amounted to an impeachable offense. In the second hearing, staff lawyers from the Intelligence Committee presented their dueling reports on the investigation. The president and his counsel were invited but declined to participate. So they were invited to this process with the Judiciary Committee. This was also, if we remember, when they had the four legal scholars. I think they were from Stanford. I don't think Princeton, maybe Princeton. I don't know. But from the various, I think it was Georgetown. It's in one of my last video. But this is when they had those four legal scholars. Remember the one that looked like Benedict Cumberbatch? That was giving me life, and a lady that said he can name his child Baron, but he cannot be a Baron. That was that whole shit. So they was, just to make this clear, they were testifying and for the Judiciary Committee. Okay. Now, at that point, after they do those hearings, that was the week of December the 4th through the 9th. The House Judiciary Committee, Democratic majority, released two proposed articles of impeachment against Trump. The two articles were abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. Okay? All right. So they's like, all right, bitch, we had the scholars testify. We did this shit. Now we going to move forward. December 11th through the 13th, last week, okay, the Judiciary Committee held a 2-day markup session to debate and make revisions to the proposed articles. Afterward, the committee voted to approve both articles. The articles were reported to the full House. So before the articles are sent to the House for the vote, this is where we're at now. The Judiciary Committee had to vote on this. So they had to vote on the articles if they were good enough to send to the House for a vote, blase. You get the point. They voted yes. Of course, because it's a Democratic House, you knew it was going to be an overwhelming vote. So the votes, 23 voted yes, no voted 17, with one not voting. So we know who the fuck did. I want to find out who didn't vote. I'm going to find that out. So once they do that, they done moved it on. Now that brings you to the process today that everybody's so excited about. The articles reported by the Judiciary Committee would be considered on the House floor. The length of the debate would be controlled by the Democrats because they control the House. The House would debate and then vote on articles of impeachment. A simple majority would be required to pass. So this is where we're at now. Right now, they're voting on the articles of impeachment. Okay? So if they don't get the votes, which they are, it stops. He doesn't get impeached. If they do vote yes, if the majority votes to go ahead and pass the articles, Trump will be officially impeached. Donald Trump will be officially the third president to be impeached in United States history. Now, you may ask yourself, D.D. Emmanuel, what the fuck happens next? So, they had to sit through all these committees. So, let's review what I just said, right? So, Nancy had to spark it off. Nancy ain't want to spark that shit off, but he ain't really give her no other motherfucking choice. So, once Nancy sparked that shit off, she got to send it to these committees. The House Intelligence Committee. They got to have their shit. They got to go sit and interview 800 motherfuckers. They got to, do their due diligence. All right, they sign off on it. Then they send it to the Judiciary Committee. The Judiciary Committee, they got to do their hearings. They got to do their findings. They got to figure out where it's at. Then once the Judiciary Committee get their foothold on it, they go ahead and decide how the article's going to work. They once they approve and send it off, then it gets sent to the full House. So before today, before it got sent to the House, it was only a committee of people. So it wasn't the full seat of representatives voting on this. It was just the two committees. Now it is for the whole Congress. All of them are voting on it. So that's where we're at today. Follow me. If you follow me, hit the little like, the little heart, the little smiley face. Let me read some of this. Okay, all right, great. So, now, if he gets impeached today, which we pretty much know he will, what'll happen is this. The House will appoint a team of lawmakers from the chamber known as managers to play the role of prosecutors in the Senate trial. The managers would then present the articles of impeachment to the Senate, which would serve as the jury. So the House is basically going to appoint two lawyers to basically lay the case of why Donald Trump should be impeached. So this is when trial shit happens, okay? So they selected the trial. The Senate is basically a jury at this point. So this is like Matlock, bitch. Perry Mason, okay? The Senate is the 12 angry men sitting in the box for the most part. Okay? Now, the Chief Justice of the United States will be sworn in to preside over the trial and would then swear in the members of Senate. The Senate may discuss and adopt detailed trial guidelines. So this is just like court. I want to break this down simple. This is basically what will happen. This is a trial. The Senate is nothing but the jury, but instead of 12 people, it's however many members of the Senate that it is. Okay? And what the House has to do, they have to basically try their case and prove beyond reasonable doubt that these offenses are impeachable. Okay? Now, they done already found out who the judge is going to be. It's going to be Chief Justice John G. Roberts. He's going to preside over the trial. The Senate, what will happen is this. Once it gets to this point, what's going to happen is the Senate is going to issue a summons to Donald Trump asking him to respond to the charges. So basically, bitch, you've been indicted. It's basically a warrant, bitch, but you're not getting arrested. But for, to help me and you understand, bitch, it's basically a warrant. If he don't answer to the warrant, bitch, that basically, if the president declines to respond, his action will be regarded as a guilty plea. So, bitch, ain't no more not sending the documents, ain't no more not answering the questions, ain't no more blocking people from testifying. If he does not respond to this summons, it's an automatic guilty plea. The impeachment stands. Now, if he responds, then he would respond to the articles of impeachment, and then we would move forward with the trial. Okay? Now, what would happen, like any other trial, you would have opening statements, the House managers, which is basically the House lawyers, the prosecutors, and the White House defense lawyers will present their case, which is a trial, so it could last for a number of days, it could last for weeks. The senators may question both parties. Now, that is different. That is slightly different from a trial because, the jury really doesn't say anything. In a trial, they just watch. If they have questions, they may send it to the judge or the bench or whatever. I don't know. But the senators can actually ask them questions in the trial. Okay? So, what will happen is this. Any senator may propose a motion to dismiss the charges, and the Senate would deliberate and vote on the move for dismissal. A simple majority will vote for it to be majority vote would be required, which could very well happen because this is a Republican-controlled Senate. So they could bypass all of this. They could just vote to dismiss the shit, trial over, bitch, everybody have a good night, thank you for coming out. Okay? Or subpoenas may be issued, evidence may be requested, and witnesses may be examined and cross-examined. The Senate could put forward a motion to limit or expand the amount of evidence being examined. So they could basically put a scope, put guidelines or parameters on how much evidence you can look at, how long you can look at the evidence, things of that nature. Now, if they vote to dismiss, impeachment over, we already know. If this continues, if the full trial goes through, both sides will present closing arguments, and then the Senate would deliberate. Once the Senate votes, the Senate will vote. If it's a majority vote, if less than 2/3, of the Senate vote yes, then Trump is acquitted. If more than 2/3 of the Senate vote yes for impeachment, then he gets removed from office. They can also subsequently vote on whether to disqualify him from future office. Okay? So, that's the process in a nutshell. I hope you got something from that. I know I got something from that. I learned a lot. Basically, what I'm telling you right now is that he's not getting removed from office, people. That's what I'm here to tell you. So, I love the protests. I want to keep those going and things like that. But the reality is this. In order to impeach him, when we did those elections, those last round of elections, we needed to get the Senate. Okay? We didn't get the Senate. Democrats. The Democrats did not get the Senate, honey. So, I get why Nancy introduced the impeachment. She had no choice. I understand why we're going through this. The impeachment is on record. But also, too, and I know a lot of people do that. I'm not disregarding your intelligence. But the thing is this. It's a slippery slope because once this all plays out and he runs for office again, if he wins, from a political strategist standpoint, the Democrats look crazy to some people, to half of the country, because you have a president who was formally impeached, who not only got stopped in the Senate, but he was also reelected to office. Which, from a political standpoint, now you have to reshape your party. Okay? You gotta vote, which that's a situation until itself, because Georgia's purging voters from the registry. Definitely gerrymandering going on. There's a lot of things going on to prevent people from voting. So make sure that your voting registration, everything, just make sure all your shit is up to date. Make sure your address on your ID match. Something as small as that. I know people move. I know, life happens. Just that, something that simple. Make sure where you know where you're registered to vote. So that when you go to vote, because in some cases, they'll make you fill out an absentee ballot if, say, I've moved from one district and, this is for, Senate and congressional races. I moved from one district and I live one place, and I just say, I know I'm registered to vote, and I go and try to vote at the elementary school up the street from my house, but my registration is I'm supposed to be voting at the elementary school that is across town where I used to live at. They may make you fill out an absentee ballot, which you don't want to do because they're counted later. You want to make sure all of your shit, so check that license, make sure that address matches, make sure all your registration information is up to date, make sure that there's nothing preventing you on election day from casting your vote and letting your voice be heard. And do what you need to be. And JC, you're absolutely right. The system isn't going to be the same after Trump. I think Trump is a historic president. Whether we like it or not, he's a historic president in so many ways. From how people run for office, from how people communicate in office, from how people behave in office. It's so many things that are historic with this presidency that whether you like him or not, you have to acknowledge. Speaking of which, history making and bizarre, this letter that he sent from the White House, which his signature is like, look at this signature, bitch. Like, look at this signature. This is a lot. So I'm going to just read a few excerpts from the letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing because we have to discuss the whole French pension issue, which I find quite interesting. And it's something that working people, and especially with our social security system that we have here in the United States, is, I think, very important to watch how other countries protest their governments. So, this was on the 17th. Dear Madam Speaker, I write to express my strongest and most powerful protest against the partisan impeachment crusade being pursued by the Democrats in the House of Representatives. This impeachment represents an unprecedented and unconstitutional abuse of power by Democrat lawmakers, unequaled in nearly 2.5 centuries of American legislative history. The articles of impeachment introduced by the House Judiciary Committee are not recognizable under any standard of constitutional theory, interpretation, or jurisprudence. They include no crimes, no misdemeanors, and no offenses whatsoever. You have cheapened the importance of the very ugly word impeachment! By proceeding with your invalid impeachment, you are violating your oaths of office, you are breaking your allegiance to the Constitution, and you are declaring open war on American democracy. You dare to invoke the Founding Fathers in pursuit of this election nullification scheme. Yet your spiteful actions display unfettered contempt for America's founding, and your egregious conduct threatens to destroy that which our founders pledged their very lives to build. First off, bitch, he didn't write this letter by himself. Kellyanne Conway probably helped him. Somebody in the office, because I'm one, this is, his reads don't be this intelligent. Like, excuse me, this is an intelligent read. And, you know, we know from Twitter, and he had help writing this letter. He had assistance. He had assistance writing this letter. He didn't sit and write this. Somebody helped. They should have been helping him write shit the whole time, but somebody clearly helped him write this letter. Even worse than offending the Founding Fathers, you are offending Americans of faith by continually saying, I pray for the president, when you know this statement is not true unless it is meant in a negative sense. It is a terrible thing you are doing, but you will have to live with it. Not I! ! Your first claim, abuse of power, is a completely disingenuous, meritless, and baseless invention of your imagination. I know he did not write this letter. He had assistance. You know that I had a totally innocent conversation with the president of Ukraine. I then had a second conversation that has been misquoted, mischaracterized, and fraudulently misrepresented. Fortunately, there was a transcript of the conversation taken, and you know from the transcript, which was immediately made available, that the paragraph in question was perfect. I said to President Zelensky, I would like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot, and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I said do us a favor, not me and our country, not a campaign. I then mentioned the Attorney General of the United States. Every time I talk with a foreign leader, I put America's interests first, just as I did with President Zelensky. And we know that that's just not true. Okay? That's just not true. That's just not true. I think that this is like, he definitely was bothered by it. I feel like this was like one of those moments where this was very much a, hi Barbara, may I speak to Shirley? Like, Shirley, I just want you to know that the man that you've been sleeping with, that's my man. I put the food in his stomach every night. I put the clothes on his back. Like, that's what it's given. It's given, hey Barbara, this is Shirley. And he had assistance with being Shirley. Because there's no way in hell he wrote that letter. And I think it's very erratic. That's the problem. Like, his behavior is so erratic. And the thing is, and I always say this, I say this all the time. A lot of this shit, because I don't put nothing past the government, a lot of this shit, had he actually just had good PR and not pissed half the country off, not started unnecessary beefs with Mexico and borders and walls and people dying, children, teenagers dying at the border. Okay? A lot of his, like the shit, because Jared gonna go down eventually. Jared Kushner. A lot of his shit we probably wouldn't hear about. It's all PR. This is all show business. And I'm surprised that somebody who whole career has been show business and selling people on dreams and lies, I'm surprised that he wasn't able to sell American people on, like, I'm surprised at his lack of ability to recognize good PR and what good PR is. Because, at least me, I don't really expect half of these politicians to do a fraction of the shit that they say that they're going to do when they get in office. Just don't let the house burn down. Okay? I feel like had he said the right things, had he not fanned the flames of racism with some of the shit that he has said and continues to say, half of the shit, he probably wouldn't be in impeachment territory. Like, they wouldn't be leaking dossiers. There wouldn't be no whistleblower, no shit like that. But because he's so divisive and he's an egomaniac, his ego won't allow him to be smart. And that's why he's sitting in the situation that he's in. Another thing, too, Miss Comey, James Comey, okay? You just keep coming out. I'm starting to believe, bitch, you are on the Republican payroll. Because, okay, so, FISA, which is the Federal Surveillance Court or something, they basically, this unit FISA, they basically oversee the FBI surveillance. They go to say, hey, I want to wiretap this bitch. I want to wiretap Carter Page. We want to do surveillance on this person. James Comey comes out and says, well, I think we probably could have been a little better at our request for wiretapping. Maybe we were a little sloppy about it. He just always, it's just like when he came out around election time and he was like, we're investigating Hillary Clinton, then they didn't find nothing, but he did the shit right before the election, right before people were going to vote. James Comey, I'm starting to, like, I don't feel bad that you got fired on a plane. I don't feel bad at how he did you. Because you keep popping up at the worst fucking times. The worst times. Like James Comey, you've been fired. You don't work here anymore. Sit your ass down. Okay? He just, I just don't, I don't get how. Now, a lot of people in all 50 states, I believe, in one of the 50 states, went out and protested yesterday, pushing for the impeachment because they know that he's getting impeached and, you know, all of that, which was nice. There was great turnout, great social media pictures, and all of that. But as much as this protested, and I applaud the protesters, yes, go out, do your thing. France, Hong Kong, election. Okay? Like, so basically, to give you an overview, and I'm not going to keep you guys because I know we've been here for a while. So basically, in France, they have pension. We all know what pension is. Pension is what you get after you done work 800,000 years and your life has dwindled away. And now you only have about a good 10 to 20 years, if you're lucky, left on this sad, miserable earth to buy a beach house in Miami and maybe live a decent life until you croak. Well, Emmanuel Macron can be seen on the infamous video laughing at Donald Trump along with other foreign dignitaries and leaders about Trump at, the NATO summit and all at the meeting. Well, sir, before you start laughing at other people, because Trump is definitely laugh-worthy, but bitch, your whole country is in crisis. So these people, the metro's not running, the Eiffel Tower's not running, the people that work in the electric company, they cutting 50,000 homes off at a time. 50,000 in this town, 37,000 in this town. People just not showing up for work, shit piling up, the protests getting violent. Paris is like, bitch, you not gonna play with my money. France. Because Paris is the city of France. France is like, you're not going to play with our money. Okay? They have literally shut it down. Sorry if you've been planning your Christmas vacation for years. You might want to look and see if they're offering refunds or at least airline miles. Okay? So, basically, as it stands right now, there's a lot of different pension types, okay? So, I'm gonna break it down as simple as I can. So, suppose, okay, I am a bus driver, right? I'm in the bus drivers union. And part of our pension plan and our union agreement is that I can retire at 50 or 55, right? I get a pension check of $2,000 a month. Okay, that's my pension, and I get to retire at 55. That's my pension agreement. That's what I got. That's what I signed up for, bitch. That's what the fuck I was looking forward to. That's why I've been driving this motherfucking bus for 30 years. Okay. Emmanuel Macron wants to change that. So instead of having different union plans or pension plans and things like that, it would be one streamlined nation plan where you would have to work until you're 62. They're offering special incentives for people who will work till 64. And say you were in the transit union or your pension was $2,000 a month. The standard base pension would be $1,000 a month. $1,000 and some change, give or take. And France is like, bitch, I didn't sign up for that. And they feel like they're doing it to kind of try to adjust the budget. And the consensus is that Emmanuel Macron, as much as he laughs at Trump, is a president for the rich. Okay? And that's the general consensus with that. So that's why France is so up in arms, because it is real business to them. Like, this is, like, imagine you working, and I know people personally who have worked at companies for 30, 40 years, 20 years, and they've been looking forward to that pension. They've been putting into it, and people want their fucking money. And then you come along and say, no, that's not how it's going to happen. Now, the caveat to that is this. This is what's supposed to be the caveat, but people don't believe caveats when it comes to the government. Okay? The caveat is supposed to be that this change would impact people who enter the workforce in 2022. And it would not impact people that have been employed or were working before like 1975 or something like that. But who the fuck is that? Like, most of the people who started working before goddamn way. So when you think about it, it's like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? So that's why France is like, fuck it. You want to play with my money? Ain't nobody going to work, bitch. Nobody. So that is what's going on in France. The protests are getting violent. But the French people don't give a fuck. This is the same country that stormed the castle of Marie Antoinette, bitch. They ain't got no cut cards. Okay? So that's pretty much, when you see these French people going off, that's why they're going off. That's the equivalent of you putting money into Social Security, and then when it's time for you to retire and get your AARP card, they talking about we ain't got no more Social Security. As you've been paying Social Security, not by choice, by force, ever since you've been working. Okay? So that's pretty much the gist of what's going on with that. I hope y'all did you get something from today? Like I said, I'm not an official news outlet, but I did do some research, took a look into it. It's been a lot going on. My life is busy. I hope everybody's having a great holiday. But I hope you did get something out of it. Now, with that being said, not the Jeffersons, they doing Good Times Live tonight. With Viola Davis's Florida Evans. So I'm going to be watching that, and they're doing All in the Family again. If I don't, I think I want to do a countdown. A political countdown at some point. Probably, when is New Year's Eve? I think New Year's Eve is, December 30th, that Monday. I want to do a political countdown and just go through like 10 major events that happened this year, 10 or 15 that happened this year, because we had a lot of these meetings, and we a lot has happened, but I want us to recap what's been going on. But I hope you guys have a great night. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to click the bell for notifications, and follow me on Instagram at GODDM, on Twitter at Uncle Lulu, UNKLELULU. The Jaffa, for those of you asking about Good Times, I think that's on CBS or AB. It's on regular TV. Just flick on one of them till you find it. Look, they're not paying me for that. Like, it's one of them. Like, I don't know. But I will see you guys soon. I hope you have a great day. Go Ravens! And peace and love. I love y'all dearly. Have a good one.